Bismillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa ala. In the name of Allah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His final messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his companions, and all those who follow him until the day of judgment. We are in chapter 2, methodology of seeking knowledge. We covered number 16, which is the methodology of seeking knowledge and its levels. Right? So one of the methodology that Bakr Abi Zayd, may Allah have mercy on him, he mentions 6 points, right? One is to memorize, to learn a concise book, and these books are usually small books like poems. To memorize a concise book on a particular subject. Number 2, to perfect it by studying under a proficient Shaikh or specialized in that subject. Number 3, do not engage yourself in the long books, long compilations in many different subjects before perfecting the basics. Before perfecting the basics on that specific subject. Number 4, do not swap between subjects and subjects. Do not swap between books and books, right, without necessity, right, in a way, in a hasteful manner, like being impatient. And number 5, capture the benefits of knowledge. Capture the benefits of knowledge by writing it down. Capture the benefits of knowledge by writing it down. And number 6, mentally prepare yourself to seek knowledge. Mentally prepare yourself to seek knowledge and progress in it. Right? And everyone at its own capacity. Right, then Bakr Abu Zayd rahimahullah mentions that usually in every science there are different levels. So there's a beginner's level, intermediate level, and advanced level. Just an example, he mentions, as for Arabic, right, you start with Ajrumiyya, and then Mulhat al-I'rab, and then Qatr al-Nada, and then Alfiya ibn Malik, its explanation, Sharh ibn Aqil. So these are like 4 different books, but different levels, right? And the same thing for Hadith, the same thing for Fiqh, the same thing for Tawheed, the same thing for Usul al-Fiqh, the same thing for Arabic vocabularies, etc., etc. So there are levels, right? And that's why learning with the Shaykh can help one be in the path of learning according to one's level and one's capacity. So we are on section 17, to acquire knowledge from the Mashaykh. To acquire knowledge from the Mashaykh. The basis of acquiring knowledge should be by way of dictation and acquisition from the teachers, and by being in continuous company of scholars, and taken from the mouths of men, and not from the scrolls and the depths of books. The first type of student, there's 2 types of students. The first type is the student that seeks knowledge directly from a teacher. This student falls under the category of seeking knowledge under a relative, like a father, right? And therefore, if he seeks knowledge from him, then he maintains that lineage, right? Now then he states that the second student is the one that seeks knowledge only from a book, right? Which is an inanimate. Therefore, how can the ties of lineage be connected, be possible, right? If he's only seeking it from a book, not from a teacher. It used to be said, whoever enters knowledge alone will emerge alone. And also, it is said, whoever emerges in seeking knowledge, whoever involves himself in seeking knowledge without a teacher, without a Shaykh, will emerge without knowledge, because knowledge is a profession. Knowledge is a profession, and every profession has its expert. Therefore, it is necessary to have a proficient teacher in order to learn. Now, why is it important to seek knowledge from a teacher? It is important to seek knowledge from a teacher because the teacher will know the text. If there's any distortion in the text, right? If there's no teacher, how can the student who just has this text and this student thinks that this text is the most sound, even though the title of the book is known, right? But maybe the student doesn't know who edited the text, right? And if it was translated, who translated the text, right? And is the person that translated one of trustworthiness? So the teacher will know, right? And he will look at the same book from many different versions and say this version is better because such and such scholar verified it. Such and such scholar did tahqiq. Such and such scholar did takhrij, right? So therefore, that's what the teacher does. It's not just giving you the content. The content is in the book, but the teacher gets to know. Sometimes there is some distortion in the text. Sometimes there is a dot that is extra, or there is a dot that is missing, etc. So the teacher will be able to because he's a master in that book, right? Then he can distinguish where is the distortion, and also if there's resemblance in letters, he will be able to clarify that. Also, if you're reading the book and you mispronunciate it, the teacher will correct you, right? In order for you to pronounce it the right way. And the teacher will help you in also, for example, if a person lacks the grammar, the teacher will be able to explain to you what is the significance of certain sentences and the grammar of it. Also, because at times there are some great texts that have been printed or were written by hand, and sometimes not everybody can read the handwriting of that scholar, right? So someone specialized in reading that. So now we have to find out who is this specialized teacher who is qualified to read that text, And now, alhamdulillah, nowadays we have a lot of different clear texts, but still that they still exist. They still exist, these books. Now, also, for example, if a student is studying a book and the student doesn't know what juristic school is this scholar from, the Shaykh will be able to tell you this scholar is from this madhab, right? And also, the teacher will be able to define for you some terminology that is used in another science, indicating a different meaning. So the teacher will be able to say, no, that meaning means this in this text, because that's why it's very important, extremely important. It is extremely important that when one studies a subject, right, that one masters or tries its best, makes a strong effort before delving into the depthness of the subject, is for one to really become familiar with its terminologies, right? Therefore, so that you can have a grasp and you have the meaning. Now when you come and you go into depthness, you have the base of these of this terminology. Now, As-Safadi said, for this reason the scholars said, do not take knowledge from a person who acquires it from the scripts, and do not take the Quran from a person who recited the Quran from the Mus'haf. Meaning, do not recite the Quran to a person who just read it from the Mus'haf, or a hadith, etc., from a person who just acquired it from the scripts. but instead take it from someone who took it from someone else, who it was passed down to. So here, Abu Hayyan, Yusuf al-Andalusi, right, who died in the year 745 after Hijrah, used to say, when Ibn Malik was mentioned to him, "Where are his teachers?" And Al-Walid said, Al-Azai used to say, "This knowledge used to be noble. This knowledge used to be noble, and it was passed down from men to men. This knowledge used to be noble because it was passed down from men to men. But when it entered the books, the wrong people became involved in it." So here, so such flaws, sometimes there's flaws in and this is also narrated by Ibn al-Mubarak, right, from Al-Awza'i. So without doubt, flaws occur when taken from the scripts, even if a person, has an ijazah, but didn't master the particular subject, right? So he has the ijazah, he read the particular text, has the ijazah, but didn't master the subject. So he can make mistakes and think that, I have the ijazah, khalas, I'm not going to make no mistakes. So here, it was reported by Ibn Khaldun, right? Because he researched this topic very well in his Muqaddimah, and there was a poem, right? Such flaws and mistakes are not existent when taken from the mouths of men. Errors also occur when narrating from memory, as opposed to narrating from edited text, edited script. So this is in the introduction of Ibn Khaldun, Muqaddim Ibn Khaldun. There was a famous poem, and this is to conclude, inshallah ta'ala. It was said by some in poetry, "And whosoever does not read the books to the scholars, then his certainty in difficult issues is conjecture." And Abu Hayyan used to frequently recite, "The gullible one assume that books guide, the one of understanding in attaining knowledge, and it escapes the ignorant one that in it are obscured issues that confuse the mind of a person with understanding. If you wish to attain knowledge without a teacher, you will stray from the straight path, and the issues will become so confusing to you that you will become more astray than Tumma the wise." That was a wise man, right? So brothers and sisters, inshallah, we know that sometimes we find it a little bit difficult to find particular scholars or imams that can give us time to study. One should try to make the intention and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to provide. And when you go to a particular masjid, get familiar with the attendees of the masjid, and get familiar with people who are involved in learning, inshallah. And try to ask. If you don't ask, you're not going to get help, right? So ask, seek, and you shall find, inshallah. So make the intention and ask Allah, and make dua in sujood, pray to Allah, ask Allah to give you knowledge. And the Prophet ﷺ taught us, Allahumma inna nas'aluka ilman nafi'an wa rizqan tayyiban wa amalan mutaqabbalan. Allahumma inna nas'aluka ilman nafi'an wa rizqan tayyiban wa amalan mutaqabbalan. So this is the conclusion of chapter 2. Chapter 2, we just mentioned two things: the methodology, right? The methodology of seeking knowledge, and in brief. And number 2, we mentioned the importance of seeking knowledge from a teacher, right? Now there's going to be another chapter 3, which is the etiquette of the seeker with his shaykh. What are the manners? What are the etiquettes that we have to have, inshallah, when dealing with our teachers? So, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, next time we will cover the point number, inshallah, 18 on the etiquette of the seeker in seeking knowledge from his teacher, inshallah. Barakallahu fikum. Allah bless you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.